Hello and welcome to BYJU'S Exam Prep IAS. Let's get started and look into our daily quiz. Before we start with our today's practice questions, we have an announcement. BYJU'S Exam Prep IAS would be conducting a national scholarship test which is scheduled to be conducted on 6th of November 2022. What is that you have to do? Link will be given in the description box. Give all the necessary information and you would be able to win some attractive scholarships. Let's get started and look into the first question. With respect to National Green Tribunal, which of the following statements are correct? It has the power to take suo motu cognizance of environmental issues. The tribunal shall be bound by the procedure laid down under the Code of the Civil Procedure 1908. NGT has not been vested with powers to hear any matter relating to Wildlife Protection Act of 1972. Which of the statements are correct? The answer to this is 1 and 3 only. Why have we taken this practice question? Because this article on the Hindu makes a reference to the National Green Tribunal. Let us try and understand what are these statements. When you look into the first statement, it has the power to take suo motu cognizance of environmental issues. This statement is right. We have one of the judgments of the Supreme Court in Municipal Corporation of Greater Mumbai versus Ankita Sinha and others. According to the Supreme Court, it went on to say, yes, we have the NGT Act of 2010. Does it make an explicit mention of the suo motu cognizance? No, but we have Article 21 of the Indian Constitution. Article 21 speaks to right to life. When we are speaking about right to life includes right to healthy life. Right to life also includes right to environment as well. Only when the environment is clean, only when it is hygienic, free from pollution, that is when a person will be entitled to Article 21, that is right to life. So even if it is not mentioned under the NGT Act of 2010, the NGT would be able to take up a case on a suo motu basis because it is guaranteed under Article 21. The NGT is to monitor the environment, which is the basic objective for the NGT. So making sure that keeping the environment clean is an objective of NGT, it can take a case on a suo motu basis, says the Supreme Court of India. So the first statement is right. When you look into the second statement, the tribunal shall be bound by the procedure laid down under the Code of the Civil Procedure 1908. This statement is a wrong statement. Why? This is not bound by the procedure laid down under the Code of the Civil Procedure. All that it has to follow is the principle of natural justice. So this basically means that it has to hear to both the parties before making a judgment. So it need not follow all the procedures that have been laid in the Code of Civil Procedure but follow the principles of natural justice. So second statement is wrong. When you look into the third statement, NJT has not been vested with powers to hear any matter relating to Wildlife Protection Act of 1972. This statement is right. Why? That is because when you look into the Schedule 1 of this Act, that is the NJT Act of 2010, it makes a mention of the Water Prevention and Control of Pollution Act, Water Prevention and Control of Pollution Cess Act, Forest Conservation Act of 1980, Air Prevention and Control of Pollution Act of 1981, Environment Protection Act of 1986, Public Liability Insurance Act of 1991, Biological Diversity Act of 2002. In case there are issues with respect to any of these laws, then NGT would be able to step in and make sure that it takes suitable action as well. But when it comes to the Wildlife Protection Act, it does not come under the Schedule 1. So NJT is not being vested with the powers to hear any matter relating to Wildlife Protection Act of 1972 is the right statement. Since the second statement is wrong, the answer to this would be C, which is 1 and 3 only. Now let's look into the next practice question. Which of the following qualifications are laid by the Constitution for the appointment of a person as a governor? He should be a citizen of India. He should have completed the age of 35 years. He should not belong to the state where he is appointed so that he is free from local politics. Which of these are the qualifications prescribed by the Constitution to become a governor? The answer to this is 1 and 2 only. Why have we taken this practice question? Because this article on the Hindu makes a reference to the governor. Let us try and understand what are these statements. When you look into the first statement, the Constitution says that there are two important criterion or the qualification. Which is it? One, he should be a citizen of India. This statement is right. He should have completed the age of 35 years. This statement is also right. But when you look into the third statement is not prescribed in the Constitution of India. He should not belong to the state where he is appointed so that he is free from local politics, happens to be a convention, and it is not mentioned in the Constitution. So remember, whenever you are speaking about the Constitution, there are only two qualifications prescribed. One, he should be citizen of India. Second, he should have completed 35 years of age. Then there are other conventions as well. One convention is because there is the governor who happens to be head of that state. If he is also present from the same state, he may get actively involved in the politics. So one of the convention that we have is that the governor who is representing that particular state should be from a different state. And whenever the president is appointing one of the governors to that particular state, he also has to consult the chief minister of that state so that there is smooth functioning with respect to the constitutional machinery. These are the two conventions that have been followed, and these are not mentioned in the Constitution. In Constitution, only the first and the second statement are present. Third is not present. As a result, the answer to this would be A, which is 1 and 2 only. Now let's look into the next practice question. Consider the following statements with respect to nutrient-based subsidy scheme. Under the scheme, a fixed amount of subsidy decided on an annual basis is provided on each grade of subsidized phosphatic and potassic fertilizers except for urea based on the nutrient content present in them. The scheme is administered by the Department of Fertilizers under the Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare. Which of the statements given above are correct? The answer to this is 1 only. Why have we taken this practice question? Because this article on the Hindu makes a reference to the fertilizer subsidy. Let us try and understand what are these statements. When you look into the first statement is right. That is, when we speak about the nutrient based subsidy scheme, it is provided for phosphatic and potassic fertilizers and it is not given to the urea. This statement is right, but the scheme is administered by the Department of Fertilizers under the Ministry of Chemicals and Fertilizers, and it is not Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare, which is why the second statement becomes wrong, and the answer to this would be A, which is 1 only. What are the aims of the nutrient-based subsidy scheme? The scheme aims at ensuring that a sufficient quantity of P and K is at the farmer's disposal at a statutory controlled prices so that the agriculture growth can be sustained and balanced nutrients application to the soil can be ensured. So two major objectives. We have the farmers who make use of the fertilizers. When farmers make use of fertilizers, they require that this particular product has to be affordable. So making sure that this product is affordable is one of the objectives, and at the same time, when we use the fertilizers, there has to be sustainable use of it. So growth of agriculture sector also comes into picture. So on one side, this product has to be affordable by the farmers, and this when used will also have to provide sustainable agriculture growth. These are the two objectives. It aims at ensuring the balanced use of fertilizers, improving agriculture productivity, promoting growth of the indigenous fertilizer industry, and also reducing the burden of subsidy. Nutrient-based subsidy scheme has been implemented with an expectation that it will promote balanced fertilization of the soil, which will lead to increased agricultural productivity and consequently better returns to the farmers. These are some of the important aims of the nutrient-based subsidy scheme. Now let's look into the next practice question. The National Commission for the Scheduled Tribes is a constitutional body. It was established by which constitutional amendment? 87th, 88th, 89th, 90th constitutional amendment. The answer to this is 89th Amendment Act. Why have we taken this practice question? Because this article on the Hindu makes a reference to the National Commission for the Scheduled Tribes. When we speak about the National Commission for the Scheduled Tribes, this happens to be a constitutional body. It was established by the Constitution, 89th Amendment Act of 2003. So remember, we have the National Commission for Scheduled Tribes, which was established by the 89th Constitutional Amendment Act of 2003. Earlier, there was only one commission for both scheduled tribes as well as scheduled castes in 2004. After the 89 Constitutional Amendment Act, the NCST was established by bifurcating the National Commission for Scheduled Castes and Scheduled Tribes into NCST and the National Commission for the Scheduled Caste. This amendment replaced the National Commission for Scheduled Castes and Scheduled Tribes with two distinct commissions, which are National Commission for Scheduled Castes, National Commission for the Scheduled Tribes. What are the functions of the National Commission for Scheduled Tribes? If there are some rights which are accorded to the scheduled tribes, the same will have to be implemented. If there is any violation, then it is this authority which will immediately come into picture. This article currently goes on to say that Pahari ethnic community would be added to scheduled tribes list of the Jammu and Kashmir. So Pahari ethnic scheduled tribes are in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, and as part of the assignment, you have to put on the comment section, are there any other states these Pahari tribes are present in? Please put it on the comment section. Now let's look into the next practice question. With respect to foreign-owned e-commerce firms operating in India, which of the following statements are correct? They can sell their own goods in addition to offering their platforms as marketplaces. The degree to which they can own big sellers on their platform is limited. Select the correct answer using the code given below. The answer to this is 2 only. This happens to be a previous year question from the year 2022. Now let's look into the fact of the day. The fact of the day for today's discussion is One Nation, One ITR form. The Central Board of Direct Taxes has now proposed a single income tax return form for all taxpayers. When you look into the existing system, we have about 7 ITR forms. What are these? One is what is called as ITR Form 1, called as Sahaj. This is for the small and the medium taxpayers. Sahaj forms can be filed by individuals who have an income up to 50 lakh with earnings from salary, one house property, other sources. ITR 2 is filed by people with income from residential property. Let's say for example they get rents, leases, all this belongs to ITR 2. ITR 3 is intended for people who have income as profits from businesses or professions. ITR 4 is called as Sugam, is like ITR 1, a simple form and can be filed by individuals, Hindu undivided families and firms with total income up to 50 lakh from businesses and profession. ITR 5 and 6 are for limited liability partnerships and businesses respectively, and ITR 7 is filed by trusts and non-profit organization. So these are the different kinds of forms that we currently have. Going forward, only ITR 7 will be completely different, but for the rest of it, what we will have is one common form. So you don't have to file different kinds of ITR forms. All that you will have is one single form which they can make use of and ultimately pay their income taxes. So ITR 7 will be as it is, but rest of it will fall under one single form. Now the question is, does this mean ITR 1 and ITR 4 used by most individual taxpayers will be withdrawn? The answer is a clear cut no. As of now, if there are people who are continuing with ITR 1 and ITR 4, this will continue as well. They'll be given an option, and this option is you can either go for ITR Form 1, ITR Form 4, but you will be given an additional option where they can use the proposed common ITR form. What is the point of doing all this? One is because when you look at the international practices, some of the international practices are always imported by India. When you consider international practices, they have a common ITR form. This is why India has introduced it. As of now, there is a lot of complexity because there are different kinds of forms, but going forward, there will be one single form, so the complexity will also reduce. Added to it, there was undue delay because of the kinds of forms. This delay will also be reduced going forward. So three major advantages is India is now following the international model. Earlier there were complexity because there were multiple forums. Now what we will have is one forum. Apart from that, ITR 7 we will still retain it, and then the delay that was being let in the past will also be reduced as well. It is this that we have to understand with respect to this article. So this is it for today. Thank you for watching. All the best.